Welcome to Cat's Got Your Tongue. This is the podcast for cat lovers in association with the charity Cats Protection. My name's Adam Brown and I am a cat fanatic and very proud cat dad. Now, each week on Cat's Got Your Tongue, we are joined by a cat-owning guest to talk all about their pet and exactly how cats make their lives better. Now, in this episode, we have got a legendary radio broadcaster from BBC Radio 2 telling us all about his cats, Ryman and Harmony, as well as all the cats that have been a part of his life at some point. Super excited to have on Cat's Got Your Tongue, the legendary Bob Harris OBE. So each week on Cat's Got Your Tongue, I'm joined by a fellow cat owner to talk about life of their pet and generally just have a little bit of a chit chat about the world of cats and how we can make cats' lives better and also how cats make our lives better. And learn a little bit more about cats in the process, hopefully. And today we have got the legendary radio broadcaster from BBC Radio 2. It is Bob Harris OBE. Bob, thank you for joining us on Cat's Got Your Tongue.
It's a pleasure to be here. I love talking cats. I talk about my cats the whole time.
You know what? You're in a great space to do that because that's exactly what we want from you today. Just feel free to just chat about your cats. That's what it's all about. I think the best thing to do, Bob, what we normally do on Cat's Got Your Tongue is we go right back to the start and try and establish where your sort of, relationship with cats started, really. Have you always been a cat man?
Well, according to my mum, she always used to worry about me getting home from school in the evening because the chances would have been that on the walk back, I would have adopted a cat and brought it home. Apparently, I used to do it all the time. And then she had to find out who this particular cat belonged to and return it to its owner. At which point she decided the best thing for me would be to get me a cat. So I've had cats since I was a child. And I just absolutely love them. Yeah. So, yeah, that bringing what I thought was strays back to the house was my first experience.
But really, you were just stealing other people's cats. So, I mean, take us through cats that you've had in your past previously. Was the cats that you've owned that had a real sort of profound impact on you as a cat owner and someone who ended up loving the world of cats? Is there one cat in particular that had that kind of effect on you?
Yes, there are a couple. When I was living in West Hampstead in London in the early 70s, we were living in a mansion block. And this is myself and my first wife, Sue. And Sue and I are still really, really close friends. And funnily enough, we talk about this from time to time because Sue is still living in the mansion block that we lived in together in the early 70s. And it's on the 5th floor. And the way the mansion blocks are designed, there's a well in the middle. So you've got windows that look out over that well. And it's quite a drop, It's from the 5th floor, it's a drop. But the windows, I've got window sills, obviously. And we had this cat called Mumbles, who I absolutely tabby. He was quite fearsome, actually. I used to play football with him. We used to literally have a game of football together. Pretty much every evening, it became a routine.
Actually, what do you mean played football together? What do you mean? So he's joining in?
Yeah. Yeah. He'd wait for me to start to play.
Brilliant.
And the idea was I'd try and kick the ball over him and he'd jump and catch it.
So he was in net then?
And he was brilliant. But he was scary because if there was a window open, even a little bit, he used to go out onto the ledge and jump across the well, with a 70 or 80 foot drop beneath him from windowsill to windowsill. He used to do it all the time. And we thought at some stage he's going to fall. It's good, We tried to keep the window shut to stop him from doing it, but he was insistent. So there was Mumbles, but also a cat that I had here for 18 years called Colby. Colby was a farm cat, black cat, really big cat. And he just owned this place. That was it. He owned this place. And my kids, Miles, Dylan and Flo, they all grew up with Colby. And he was just the most magnificent animal you could possibly imagine, a big black cat who took this whole area and decided it was his territory and that was it. And he killed rabbits because I live in the country. He would kill rabbits regularly. He cleared this time. There was nothing living for miles, you know. But he was quite, in addition to being quite fearsome, he was also very lovely. But he was particularly antagonistic, I don't know why, towards women. And females coming to the house used to be genuinely scared of him. Uh, I was a little bit occasionally scared of him myself because he was very assertive. Um, and when I was diagnosed with cancer in 2007, it was an amazing thing. I know I'm sort of rambling on with this, but it's a threaded story. Okay, so
Yeah.
my then wife Trudy and I were coming home one evening, and we drew into the front of the house, and this little black thing went rushing across in front of us. I suppose I'd been diagnosed about a week before, and was just about to go into my treatment. And we saw this little black thing, and I thought to start with it might be a rat or a big mouse or something. But then a couple of days later, we started hearing meowing under the floorboards of the room I'm in literally now. And we began to realize that there was a little cat that got into the under the floorboards. There was a brick missing from the front of the house. And he'd obviously seen this and had climbed down under the house. And Colby began to realize that this little kitten was there. And Colby started killing things and leaving the remains by the brick, you know, by the gap in the wall, so that this little kitten could come up and Colby literally kept it alive because this little thing was absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Well, I started my cancer treatment and I decided as a project to try and get this little kitten on board and get to know it and feed it and love it because it was obviously traumatized. It was only probably about 6 or 7 weeks old when it arrived here. I think what had happened was somebody passing on the main road outside probably just thrown it out or you know, because I live quite a long way away from other houses. So how on earth otherwise would it have got here? So I decided this was my project to get to know this little kitten. But he was so terrified he wouldn't let me anywhere near him. But I persevered and I kept going out, going by this gap in the wall and talking into it and leaving bits of food. So he got used to my voice. And then very gradually began to appear and I began to get to see him. And he was all black as well. He had a little white dot just here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get him round the back of the house so that I could watch him through the kitchen door. And so stage by stage, I began to move his food bowl round. I mean, I can't overstate how terrified of everything he really was. But I've got time on my hands, you know, I'm not working. And I devoted a huge amount of time to this tiny little frightened animal, which finally came around the back of the house. And I would put the food down and I could see that he was waiting half covered in the hedge behind. And then I'd move back and he'd run in and gobble his food down and then run off again. But each time I was talking to him, I got closer and closer to the little saucer that I was putting down because I was absolutely convinced that if I were able to stroke him, something magical would happen.
Yeah.
I couldn't explain it, and finally I touched him and stroked him. And it was like an electric charge. I'm honestly not kidding. He suddenly went, "Oh my God, I love you. You saved me." You know, I mean, the transformation it was almost like somebody touched him with a magician's wand. He suddenly decided that I was everything to him. And so he wouldn't leave me then. He wouldn't come into the house because he was so frightened.
Yeah.
But if I was going across to the studio, he'd wait for me. He'd come over to the studio with me. And what was extraordinary about him, he was little Raz, his name was Raz, was that he seemed to anticipate what I was going to do. he just knew. He seemed to read my mind before I even thought it.
Yeah.
So he was my constant companion then for about 18 months. But Cobbs was brilliant because he actually acted as a father for him. But then this was the extraordinary thing. So I got my all clear from my cancer, but it's about a year and a half later. And it was a Thursday. I'd been up to the clinic and everything was fine. And on the Sunday morning, Trudy came running into the house and said, Colby's been run over. And we all ran out, and it wasn't Colby, it was Raz. He'd been hit by a car in the mouth of the drive. And it was not like there was no damage to him at all. He was just dead in the driveway. And it was almost as though he'd arrived as a sort of guardian angel to look after me while I was so ill. And so when I got the all clear and everything's fine, it's kind of my work is done.
Yeah.
It was an extraordinary thing. I was so upset.
Yeah.
But we buried him just outside my studio. And then Colby just became, the house cat, the main man for the next few years. But he passed away at the beginning of this year. Meanwhile, there was another little cat that I'd met through owners who just didn't want her anymore. And this is little Minnie, little black cat. And she was just so full of love, so I adopted her. And she and Colby got on actually quite well. But Minnie got really ill. She was 18 years old, and she got really ill. She had a fit in the hallway here. It was so upsetting. And my son and I took her down to the vets, and she died in my arms. And then literally about 3 months later, Colby died as well. Same thing, got very ill, died in my arms. But the extraordinary thing about Colby was that I feel quite upset talking about it really, but I'd been to America, I'd been away, and I've got friends in the village who come up and look after my cats. David Granville, he's brilliant. And so he'd been looking after Colby, and I'd been in touch with him all the time that I was away, saying, is Colb's okay? Because I was a bit worried about him. I got back and got into the house, and I was looking around for Colby, and I couldn't find him anywhere.
Yeah.
So I went upstairs and started unpacking. I was sitting on the bed, and Colb's jumped up by me, and he had the most, we've never had a fuss session like it. He was so fussy, he was rubbing around me, he was purring his head off, he just wanted to must have been half an hour of just sheer love. Anyway, so then finally he jumped down, and I went over to the studio for a few minutes. And then I was in the studio, and I had this feeling, and I came running back to the house, and Colb's was having a heart seizure on the landing. So I just whipped him up and took him straight down to the vets, but they said he's, so he died in my arms as well. And I was very upsetting because I'd had Colb's, for all these years. And now I'm in the house by myself. So my son Dylan said, we need to get you a new Colby and Minnie.
Yeah.
So he began to do some research and found Ryman and Harmony. They were living in a sort of safe house in Abingdon, which is not far from me here. And Dylan made all the arrangements. We went over to collect them.
Yeah.
And it was clear that at some stage in their lives they'd been mistreated. Little Harmony, the girl in particular, was terrified when she first got here. So this last nearly a year really has been establishing a friendship and a love with these two cats. Ryman, the boy, just wants to be with me. He just, within a few weeks, had settled completely. But Harmony is still, she won't go anywhere near strangers. And she's still very nervous, and she worries. She's a worrier. But she loves me. We've got such amazing routine. Even just now, they sleep on my bed with me, and we get up together because I like them in at night. They're daytime cats. So we go to bed together, We sleep on the same bed together. And then when I wake up and get up, they get up with me. They wait. And the three of us come downstairs together. It's hilarious.
Like a team.
And then I feed them in the kitchen. And that's our morning routine.
So, Bob, do you have like, when you communicate with them, do you have like a different voice? Because you've got an iconic voice, obviously. You know, I'm a radio presenter as well. And you being in radio, it's, you know, you get known for your voice, don't you?
Yes.
Like, do you, when you speak to your cat, because my voice that I use when I speak to my cat is different to my everyday voice. It's unavoidable. I'm a very high pitched and I go a little bit... honestly, it's just ridiculous, the voice that I have for my cat. But I don't know about... Do you find yourself doing that, though? And you think...
With Harmony in particular.
Yeah.
Because almost always she needs reassurance.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. Even now, I got them June last year. But it's still quite fragile with Harmony. What I think had happened to her, my guess was that she'd been kicked. Because to start with, I mean, when she first arrived, I didn't see her for, oh my God, probably nearly a month. She found ways of hiding herself in the house. And she'd appear for a moment when I fed her. Oh, can you hear her?
Oh, is she there?
Who's that? Harmony, is that you? But she'd disappear off again. And it took me ages just to get her near me, to look at me. She wouldn't establish eye contact with me. She didn't want to be close to me. So it's been a very long process with her. So when I'm talking to Harmony, I really do soften my voice. In fact, you can probably, I post on Instagram some things with the cats. And when I'm with Harmony, I'm doing a very, very gentle voice. She might come in and jump up, you never know.
Give us a little blast of that, Bob. What does it sound like when you speak to Harmony?
Oh, Harmony. She doesn't really know her name. Ryman does, but she does. You coming up? Do you want to come up? Come up. Oh, come on. Hey. Oh, she's such a little tiny thing. That's what I call her. Because the cats didn't have names.
Yeah.
Well, they did, but they were names given by the rescue centre. So one was Moon and one was Star or something. They didn't know their names. So I've called the boy Ryman after the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. And then I was thinking, what? And I thought Harmony, because, Harmony, do you want to come on? So he's learned his name, and she kind of knows I'm talking to her when she's around, but she doesn't really know her name that much.
Do you know what's interesting as well, Bob? Like, in the way that your voice changes and the way that your face lights up just seeing the cat, that's exactly what I'm like. Like, I can be having the worst day.
Yes.
Feeling miserable. Something's gone wrong, and then you get into your house and you see your cat, and suddenly everything's okay. Like, it's such a weird and almost magical impact they have on us. It's indescribable.
Well, also waking up, that they're here with, the first thing I see when I wake up is them. And of course they know they're waking up because I've woken up. So I'm waking up to purring.
Oh, the best.
Minnie used to literally go to sleep on my shoulder. So as I would fall asleep, Minnie, I'd lift a duvet cover and she'd get into bed and she'd fall asleep with her head on my shoulder. Oh. So I'd fall asleep with her purring in my ear. I mean, You
can't beat it. You just cannot beat that feeling.
You can't. No, you can't.
Bob, stay with us for a second. We're going to be back in just a second when we're going to speak to Nicky, who's our expert from Cats Protection. So we'll be right back on Cat's Got Your Tongue. So, as you know, I don't know everything there is to know about cats. Far from it. Every day is a school day when it comes to learning about cats. And today, luckily, as always, we're joined by someone who does know a lot more about cats than I ever will. Friends to the podcast, it's Nicky Trevorrow from Cats Protection, behaviourist, and basically my saviour when anything goes wrong with my cat. Honestly, straight away on WhatsApp. Nicky, what's going on? Nicky, how are you? You all right?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing, Adam?
Yeah, I'm good. And we've got Bob as well, obviously.
Hey, Nicky.
Hey.
So, Nicky, obviously, you can tell that Bob absolutely adores cats, like we all do. Bob, is anything you've ever wanted to know about cats, or the behaviour of your cats, past or currently, that Nicky might be able to shed some light on?
My two now, Ryman, and actually this is a question because, like, for example, when they're on the bed with me, he washes her a lot. He'd run particularly under here where she can't reach.
Oh,
He'll wash her. And then all of a sudden something will happen and they'll go and have a little spat and go off. And then he'll jump back on, or she'll jump. Now, what happens when that happens? Because I still can't work out what triggers it.
What it sounds like is they're well-bonded cats, which is fantastic, same social group. And the cats do really enjoy having that sort of mutual grooming session. But and it's good for those hard to reach areas, as you've pointed out. But sometimes I feel like one cat can just tip things over the edge, and like maybe the interaction either goes like on for too long, or in the wrong place, or too hard, or something like that. And the other one's just like, no, that's it. And like you say, and then it's very quick for them to then be like
Yeah.
the interaction to suddenly fall apart. The good news is in your situation is it sounds like they repair their bonds quite quickly afterwards and carry on.
Yes.
So it doesn't sound like there's any underlying issues or anything with them. It's just one of those where one oversteps the mark, the other one's like, no, that wasn't cool, and then they carry on.
Well, I do have one very big question actually.
Yeah.
Because when they first started going out, I just started on Sounds of the 70s on Radio 2. Now, I was making absolutely sure, as best I could, that they were both in when I left. I don't like them being, or didn't, I'm getting more relaxed about it now. But at that point, I didn't like them being out when I wasn't here, because I wasn't sure. There's a very busy road, I was saying about little Raz getting run over.
Yeah.
But on this occasion, she was in and Ryman was out. And I was calling him and calling him. He just didn't come back in. So I left for Sounds of the 70s, leaving Harmony in and Ryman out. So when I got back after the show and drew in the front of the house, Ryman came to meet me. So we walked into the house together. And Harmony, as we came into the kitchen, took one look at him and flew at him. I mean, I'm really not kidding. She went for him in a really, really big way. She was, ears back, yowling, attacking him. In the end, I had to get a cushion because they were going all over the house. I got a cushion to get in between the two of them because they were hurting each other now. They'd gone into an absolute major fight. And for the next 2 or 3 days, I had to keep them separate in the house because every time she saw him, she went for him. Now, this is little Harmony who wouldn't, she doesn't look as if she'd say boo to a goose. But she was absolutely furious with Ryman about something or other. Now, what could that have been? It took about 2 weeks for them to begin to return to being close the way they were before. What do you think had happened?
So firstly, the time it's taken to get them back on board, it sounds pretty common. Like it doesn't take like a few hours. It does take time to get the cats back, even when they live together and everything's fine ordinarily. The most common reason for cats to fall apart with relationship wise, but particularly the scenario you've given, is a change in scent profile. So as in the smell of the cat. So whether he smelt different to her, and then it seemed therefore slightly unrecognizable to her, which I know sounds weird for us when we're so visual, but it'd be like Adam rocking up without a beard, and he'd be like, "Who is this?"
Yeah.
And you don't recognize him, But that's like a sort of human version. But for the cats, it's scent. So if they smell different, then suddenly they can almost feel like they're an intruder or not recognize them quite so well. The other thing that you've really highlighted is that she's got quite a dependency on him, and where she's more nervous and he sounds more confident. I do think that cats can have these relationships where they do almost have like a cat that looks after them and sort of protects them, or they need that level of confidence to help them feel safe. And so therefore, potentially without having him there for the day when she's used to having him around,
Yes.
again, she might not be happy about it. And
She-
so it could be a combination of different things of like, where the hell have you been?
What time do you call this? Yeah.
So, but at least it sounds like you did the right thing of like really carefully, slowly, gradually getting their relationship back on track.
Yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Bob. Bob, do you know what? I could sit and talk cats all day to you, but we are going to have to leave it there, unfortunately. But I just love how much you love cats. That's one of my favourite things, and it's always nice to meet someone else who's just as passionate as we are about cats. So thank you so much, Bob, for joining us on Cat's Got Your Tongue. It's been an absolute privilege to have you on.
I've loved it. Thanks very much.
Yeah, amazing. And thanks as always, Nicky, for answering some questions there, and as always, shedding a bit more light onto our numerous and, several questions that we always have and will always have about cats as well. So thanks again, Nicky.
You're welcome.
That's it for this time on Cat's Got Your Tongue. Cat's Got Your Tongue is made in association with the charity Cats Protection. Thank you as always for listening. Remember to hit subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts, or you can watch our episodes on YouTube as well. And don't forget, if you've got any questions, any tales about your cats that you want featured on a future episode, it can be questions, funny stories, or just anything cat related at all, basically. You can get in touch by emailing pod@cats.org.uk, or you can leave us a voice note on WhatsApp on 07824 551076. Tell your friends who love cats all about us and share the podcast, give us a review, and we'll see you next time on Cat's Got Your Tongue. So, did you know that lilies are one of the most toxic plants for cats, and other popular flowers such as tulips and daffodils are also potentially hazardous if nibbled or ingested? Now, thankfully, there's lots of plants and flowers which are cat safe, such as roses and freesias. So if you're planning to buy a bouquet for a cat owner or do a spot of gardening yourself, it's a good idea to check out Cats Protection's plant and flower guides on the website first. You can find out more at cats.org.uk.